Specialties. My name's Rick Odom. Again, thanks for being here. What we're going to talk about today is the new power box, the ignition. Hopefully we can make it a little bit easier to understand, work with. So I'm not real good at this, so just bear with me, and hopefully I can make this enjoyable to listen to. Alright, the power box comes with your ignition box. It replaces your stock ignition. You don't use anything off your stock ignition except for the connector ends. It comes with a wiring harness with no ends, and we'll try to make this a whole lot simpler to understand on wiring. It's fairly simple. I want to go ahead and set this out of the way. Right now I've got a wiring schematic or diagram explaining how to wire it up. The numbers, the pin numbers on the power boxes down through here are basically the pins on your connector end. If you're looking at the power box just like this, pin number 1 is at the top and to the right. So it'd be the orange wire be pin number 1, the gray will be 2, purple 3, all the way over to the brown, which is 9. You count the open holes where the pins can have wires coming out. Then the wire numbers start at the bottom underneath with number 10 all the way over to yellow being number 20. Okay, now just like here, pin number 1, the orange, it says inductive coil number 1. That'll be your number 1 cylinder on your motor, which will be the outside cylinder away from the driver. And then pin number 2 will be coil number 3. It'll be the third one over. Okay, a lot of these we don't use. Pins 3, 4, 5, 6 we don't use. Pin 7 is ground, so that'll go straight preferably to your battery, and make sure that your motor is properly grounded also. 8 we don't use. Okay, number 9, if you're working with a fuel injected motor or it came from the factory fuel injected, you have to run the cam sensor, and pin number 9 is your top one on your left right here. Again, the top row has less wires than the bottom row does. So your brown wire here, number 9, will go to on your cam sensor itself, the sensor coming out of the motor with nothing plugged up to the motor. The colors on the sensors itself will be these here. Like this one here, it says white wire on sensor. Now hold on just a second, I'll show you here on the motor. Now what I'm working with here is a 2008 Honda R6R solid black motor. Again, depending on what your motor is, see how you got a solid white wire right there, and then you got a blue one with a yellow tracer, and then down here we got a black wire with a blue tracer. Try to get there a little bit closer, see if you can see what I'm talking about. We'll be working off those wires. So basically, when you plug in your connector off your stock harness that you cut off, you're going to wire the wires so that they will splice or connect to these wires here through your connector. That way, sometimes different connector ends have different wire ends, and the colors on the wire ends will be different. Same way goes on your crankshaft position sensor coming out of the right side of the motor. On the R6Rs, you've got a light gray and a dark gray. So we'll show you over here again what we're talking about on the power box. Also remember, on your coil when you wire up, on the paper it'll tell you which side to hook the ignition power to. On the black R6R it says to the left side. So when you're looking here at the spades inside of the coil, the left side over here on this side will be your 12 volts positive. This side over here will run toward your whichever cylinder it is, cylinder 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever it may be. So be sure. Now if you're using an older wiring harness off of an older R6, the wires are reversed, so you'll have to make sure that you flip your connectors. Okay, again, back to this, we talking about the white wire. It goes to pin 9, and then coil number 2 is pin 10, which would be the white wire down here on the bottom, and it keeps going down, coil 4 or cylinder 4. Now pin number 12, if you like, you can go and, I'm sorry, wrong place. Yeah, pin number 12, you can go and run that wire over to a light on your dash, and then the other wire off your light, run it to battery positive or 12 volts positive. And in the power box later we'll show you, you can set up a certain RPM for that light to come on. A lot of people like to set it 300 RPMs under the rev limiter. One tooth on the back is normally equal to roughly 300 RPMs. So you can see going in the corner if you're within 300 RPMs your rev limiter or not. Okay, and then we got supply 12 volts. That means hook that to your toggle switch. It needs to be switched so you can turn the motor on and off. Okay, and then you got another ground wire that goes to the battery ground. And we also talked about make sure that your motor is grounded to the battery also. Output for the tach, it works identical as the wire coming out of the stock ignition box. A lot of them, in order to get these tachs to work, you got to use a step-up resistor to increase voltage. If you have any question on that, just give me a call. And then pin number 16, this one wire goes to your cam sensor and your crank sensor both. So pin number 16, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, this blue wire right here, you have to splice it off, and your cam sensor is going to be that black wire with the blue tracer that I showed you, and then on the crankshaft sensor you got to hook it to the dark gray wire. Okay, then pin 17, right next to it is a white wire with a red tracer. On this one here, it goes to your cam sensor to power up the cam sensor. It'll go to the blue wire with the yellow tracer. Again, we won't worry about 18 or 19, and 10 will go to the light gray wire on the crankshaft sensor. That'd be pin 20, which would be the yellow one here. And that's how simple it is to